Hello, hello. Good to see everyone again. I am just getting things ready real quick. There we go. Okay, so tonight we are going to be doing some crafting. It's a little bit later than I wanted to get started, but things have just been busy. But what we're doing tonight is we are going to repot some succulent cuttings that I have cut. So tonight we are doing some crafting. It's a little bit later than I wanted to get started, but on this channel, there we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so here in just a minute, I just want to get some paper down over our work surface, and this is just my local city newspaper that's put out by some church, I'm pretty sure, given how many of the things in here are religious. But it's just the free one that I can get at the local words fail me. So, yeah. Okay. And I don't particularly care if anyone knows what city I'm from. You know, so I don't think anyone's going to come find me. Alright, let's switch over to our camera. Okay. So, this is a tray of succulents that have been cut. You can see some of these have a lot of little bits of root, and this one at least is because it was attempting to murder my my goblin cactus. This is all stone crop, which is well, it's a succulent, and like I said, it was trying to murder my goblin cactus. So naughty succulents got a haircut and have been laying in my drying tray, which in this case is just a mixture of different soils, and it gives them a chance to dry out and start forming roots so that you can then repot them. The sedum, or the stone crop, already had the roots. They were literally trying to dig the roots into the goblin cactus, but this is a Pincushion Pepper plant, and they have started to form little rootlets. They, in their case, had just gotten so heavy that they were unable to stand upright anymore. So, okay. Now, first things first, we need to make the soil for them. Normally, I would just buy cactus soil, but honestly, I have a ton of materials that I can use to make that cactus soil, so we're just going to use those. So, we are starting with Aquarium Gravel. This is the kind that is already pre-washed. It's got some dust on it, but that is just because it's been sitting around for a while. And that dust is not going to hurt your plants. It might hurt fish, so of course you might want to rewash it if you were going to put it in an actual aquarium. But this is just being used as a drainage mechanism for my plants. What you want for succulents specifically is a mix of basically 3 equal parts sand, which I've got some of that, and potting soil, which serves as an organic component, and then something to provide drainage. And we're going to use the Aquarium Gravel to ensure there's lots of big open spaces that can drain. And then we've got some beach sand, and this is, I think I picked this up at Lowe's. It is specifically from the plant section. It is meant for use with succulents and similar. And I am mixing this up in one of my, I think we use this for salads generally. The rest is just potting soil, and that is our organic component. The organic, of course, is so that the roots have something to dig into, But with succulents, you've got to make certain that they don't have too much of the organic, because the organic will hold moisture. And succulents, most of them, there are a few that do, but most succulents do not like moisture. It's bad for their roots. So, you can see we went ahead and I just shook it up to give it as a good mix. I'm sure there's more rocks at the bottom than there's moisture, but whatever, it'll work. Okay. So what I've got here, this is just a mug that I've put some holes in. It's got a cute thing. This is actually a Christmas present for my dad. He used to be principal at he used to be a teacher at a school that had owls as their mascot. Now I'm going to put a little bit extra of the Aquarium Gravel in the base, just to, you can see how it's already draining tiny bits. This white stuff is just the ceramic that was left over from when I put the holes in. But here we go. Sometimes I'll use like river rocks at the bottom of these, but that just gives us a base so that we don't have our sand and soil and gravel mixture falling out of the bottom. So now, this is also why I made it a point to put paper down, because if you notice there were little tink-tink-tinks of things falling. There we go. Some of them got caught in the drainage dish. Okay. Alright, so now we have this mix of sand and soil, and we're going to put a little extra of the soil on top, because we want, of course, for it to have something that the roots can dig into, but we don't want there to be enough that it holds that moisture. I'm just going to, okay, that's a big piece. All right, so there we go. Now it's got a spot that the roots can dig into, but it's also got plenty of drainage. So we're going to, first and foremost, this Pincushion Pepper plant, I had, when I cut it, trimmed off the lower roughly 2 inches to 1.5 inches of leaves. And that way we can just put that right in there. And then we don't want to get too big a piece of sedum, or stone crop. My goodness, I keep wanting to call it sedum, and it's not. Because we don't want it to just utterly destroy the pincushion plant as it gets older. But, so now we've got our stone crop. What did you, okay, that's a horrible noise. We've got a piece of stone crop and a piece of our Pincushion Pepper plant, and they are both in the soil. There is a third succulent who's going to go in here, but as you can see, I have so many things in my drying tray that I could not trim more plants for it. So, okay, let's go ahead and put this over here. This one's going to stay up here just because it is the, hey, this is a present for my dad. All right, we're going to go ahead and start the next batch. These, again, they are items that I've just put holes in entirely for the purpose of using them as planters. In this case, they were just little yogurt pots that just happened to come in these really cute jars. And I only put a single hole in each of them because they don't really have enough base. And then, of course, I found a metal base that they can sit on and they can drain onto. That's why this is sitting in the bowl too, is it is for drainage. So even if you water them, even if it's not fully drained by the time that you have completed your watering and are ready to put it back on, say, your desk, it can drain into those sections, and therefore you don't have to worry that you're going to soak your desk with stuff that hasn't quite drained out. So there's, again, 1 cup of the Aquarium Gravel. 1 cup, roughly, of your beach sand. And I've got some succulents that I'm going to be repotting using a mixture just like this. I just have not done so yet, because a lot of my succulents are in kind of makeshift pots, because I have certain ones, such as the Pincushion Pepper plant and the stone crop, that keep deciding, hey, we are going to keep growing. And they're very, very happy plants. That's actually part of why I'm using them for these gifts that are going to be given out, is they are so willing to root and grow. And I very much want to ensure that they all go to good homes. Okay. Once again, now with these being as small as they are, since I do want to ensure they get that small layer of the actual soil on top, because I want their roots to have something to grab onto, but I don't want them to get so waterlogged that they end up dying or rotting. So there's one. I just stole some of the soil from the top of this. We've got over here, we'll put this one in there. And if they look kind of sad for the moment, they'll look a lot better soon. When they are drying out, to get those nice scabs that we... Actually, I'm going to put that somewhere else. Okay. We're going to use... Stay. We're going to put you in this one. Give us something a bit taller. Or maybe not. You're going to fall over if I try that, aren't you? No, it's okay. Maybe. It really does want to fall over. Okay. So you're too tall for that one. How about... You are also too tall, but you've got a nice, thick stem. So we're going to plant you in that one. Okay, who's talking to me? One moment. Oh. Once I have finished getting these all potted, I'm actually going to be watering everything. This one's got a very sad leaf, so we're going to just pull that off, and what we're going to do is we're just going to add that in as extra nutrition for this plant once it decides it wants to stand up. Okay, so another scoop. But once I have completed repotting these, I'm going to water all of the plants. Let's see if I can find some that I can crumble up decently. This one will also be getting some of the stone crop, and then this third one will get the other succulent once I get that trimmed and cut and into a proper place. So, come on, you. Just gonna crumble some of this. I'm actually less worried about giving the stone crop something to live on that it'll be comfy with. In fact, I'm just going to use some of this medium, which is a mix of succulent soil and core, which is coconut fiber. And I just use it as my, I hate to say growing medium because it really isn't. It's just where I put things while they're drying out because I want them to have a chance to develop roots. But I also don't want them going crazy, as you can see the stone crop is very, very prone to. I want one that's going to... This one should work. Okay. These I'm not even going to try and bury, because they have already decided to form lots of little rootlets, and I suspect that the minute I give them satisfactory water and other conditions, they're going to go crazy. So we don't want to give them too much encouragement, as it were. Okay. The third succulent that will be getting cuttings is going to go in that one. So we're just going to give it a little bit of soil on top. And once I've got the third one ready to go, it can go in here too. Okay, so that is some of them done. Oof, that made you so much heavier. Okay. Back down there. All right. And a lot of these will be going to the same homes. So that's why I am trying to give them matching stuff. Okay, see, we've got these two little happy jars. Again, drilled holes. They didn't originally have drainage. They came with plants in them, and the plants were in tiny little pots that didn't really need drainage, just because of the way they were created. Or they had drainage for them, effectively. Okay, we'll go ahead and do it that way. That'll spare us a little bit of mess. Okay. So our little happy pots have that, and they can get a little bit of this growing medium on top. Again, we don't want to give it too much because we do not want to encourage them to go too crazy, but we also want them to have something for the roots to hold on to before it goes digging into the sand and soil. A friend of mine is from New Mexico, and basically when I mentioned that I was trying to repot succulents, their response was, just put them on plain sand, they'll be thrilled. Which, true, but the plain sand, I can't guarantee that they'll do so well when they go to their new home. So, do have to try and give these guys a leg up, as it were. Speaking of, this one really needs a support, but I can't do that right now. So, stone crop, where did I trim you off? Okay, you know what? You've got plenty of little rootlets. Not even going to lay down a... There we go. Okay, you'll be happy pretty soon. Okay, so this, not that one, I want this one. I will be actually keeping for myself. And what this one is going to get, I have a Christmas cactus that pretty much all of it had died. It was very sad. I mourn for it, but c'est la vie. But Christmas cacti, they need less water than than a regular houseplant, but they need more than your typical succulents. So I ended up overwatering it a bit. Okay. Now we don't need nearly as much stuff as we did before, so we're doing a half cup of each. Well, not even a half cup, but an estimate of a half a cup. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to repot this Christmas cactus into this lemon-shaped container that has proper drainage, which the original one, I could have sworn it had proper drainage, but apparently not. And it just got way too much water because it dried out faster than all of the other succulents, so I started watering it on the same schedule that I was using for the non-succulents. And it ended up getting way too much water and getting very, very sick and very, very sad, and the roots all rotted out. And it has, I managed to rescue, as it were, one single solitary piece, and have been carefully nursing it for quite some time now. But it's not taking in enough water because I've got it in very well draining soil, but I'm terrified to overwater it, and so it has been just getting the barest minimum soil required, or water required for it to live. And so we're going to get it into a mix, just like what we're doing for everybody else. But it's going to be in something that drains properly, and now I'll be able to watch and see how much water it's getting, much better than I was before. And hopefully it will be okay and it will finally start to flourish. But we'll see. Now, if you notice this growing medium that the medium I've got over here, you notice some of it has rocks in it, some of it has, very similar things to what we're mixing in for our succulent soil. And the reason for that is because it's a mix of succulent soil and coconut coir and just all... Hey! No! Sorry. I just caught her chewing on one of the freshly repotted succulents. No! For one, I don't want her doing that because some succulents are not friendly for kitty cats. But two, I don't want her killing the succulents either. Now you can see this has already developed some roots, so I do have hope for it. But it is going to be very touch and go as to whether or not it really likes this new situation. Hey, Ben.
Except for a couple straws and some silverware, the sink is now completely clear.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. I've gotten some succulents repotted, and I just caught Lady chewing on one. I am on stream, just so you know.
Okay.
But, okay.
I'm just heading back through this way, so.
Yep. Okay. Alright, so that gives us several repotted succulents. You can see I've still got some of these that need repotting. There's a good possibility I will just take them. I know a person, and baby, that's not safe for you. You need to actually stand up. Okay. It'll do better once it has water. But, okay. we're just going to add that soil to our growing mix. And for the moment, that's everybody repotted. Pull that over. Okay. At least everybody that's ready to be repotted. I do have some other pots, but I'm not quite ready to put things in them. For one, I don't have bases like these for them to drain onto, which is kind of an issue if you're using succulents. So we'll get some water on these guys. We'll double check how well they drain. And then, yeah, that's still soft enough. Okay. I might, for a few of these, need to get some form of support system. Oh, look at that. I've got a spare one. Yeah, I'll see what I can do with that too. Maybe I'll just, okay. Maybe what I'll do is I'll repot it in one of these. But for right now, it can go with the other growers until I figure out what to do with it. Okay. Really short stream tonight. I was not planning for it to be this short. But I also didn't think about how I didn't have all of my pots ready for everybody. You can quit giving me that look. Yeah. Oh, I do have another pot. You know what? Hold on a sec. I forgot about it. Okay. This is a really cute pot that I found, and it came with its own saucer. So we'll go ahead and get something into that too. Okay. I would take you guys downstairs and show you how I trim succulents, but that's kind of a pain since you're on my laptop. Wouldn't be so bad if I, did anything but the laptop. But, c'est la vie. I do not have any succulent soil prepped, and I don't want to prep enough just for that one little pot. Grr. Okay, so I'm not going to repot into that right now. Okay. Let's see. So my options are... sorry. Let's do this instead. We're going to move that over there. Move this over here. And I'm going to grab my water bottle, which is thankfully right over here. I'm going to get a drink while I'm thinking about it. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I don't have to take them into the kitchen to water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold them over this and pour in. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're not supposed to float, baby. Okay, so the water is running out through the bottom, which is exactly what we want it to do. Okay. Now, it has stopped running out the bottom. Honestly, what you want to do is you want to give them once, depending on how humid your weather is, okay? This is very dependent on how humid your weather is. If you have very humid weather, then you're only going to water them when it's humid here, okay? When it gets around winter and it's colder and wetter. I actually water mine only once every 2 weeks. When it's very hot and very dry, I water them weekly. Okay, so we are now going to take advantage of this little cup. We are going to put the excess water in it. And then that way we don't have to keep adding fresh water and having it go into our cup over there. So I'm just going to pour water directly into this. And let's do this one next. Okay, so. But yeah, you want to give them what's called a good drenching. So think like a really heavy rain in the desert. And then once they've had their good drenching, you want to hold them over the over your drainage thing, and I don't mean the little thing they'll drain into eventually, but like in this case over this. Normally when I water the things that are not in the tanks, because I do have several tanks full of succulents, but when I water things that are not in a succulent tank, what I do is I water them, and I water them in the sink, and then I leave them sitting in the sink for half an hour to an hour to ensure they have fully drained. And I do that with everything. I mean, the roses, the begonia, well, the begonia doesn't, but the begonia is like the thirstiest plant ever. It cannot get enough water, so it gets, it is in a terracotta pot because the terracotta pot will soak off some of the water from the plant itself, but it just gets water added at the top until all of the soil at the very top is drenched for about an inch down, and then I just let it sit and do what it wants. And it seems to work very well. My begonia is very happy. So, okay. Now you can see we didn't even put in that full, roughly 3/4 to a half cup of water, but that much drained off. And we're going to do it again with this one. Now, this time I'm putting in the whole thing, and we're going to, again, let it drain. And we're going to let it fully drain so it stops dripping entirely. And over the next day or two, I will be checking these ones that are in the new pots, making certain that they don't have water gathered under them. These little pots have small feet on the bottoms. The ones that are in the yogurt pots do not. So I want to make certain that no water gets trapped underneath those yogurt pots especially, because it has nowhere to go and it could risk rotting or molding under the roots. And we of course don't want that to happen. So drip, drip, drip. Okay. That should be good enough. I'll also be able to kind of gauge. Okay, see, that one took more of the water. So we now have roughly, that's not even a 1/4 cup of water left from the initial, because some of it stays in the soil. And that's what it's supposed to do. We'll go ahead, put it to about a 1/2 cup again. Mix of the water that's already gone through the soil of the other plants and the water that's fresh. Alright, let's go ahead and do this one now. And again, good drenching of the soil. These plants are... This one is a type of succulent, but it is called the Pincushion Pepper, or Pincushion Pepper Limonia, or something similar to that. Mine is just so grow happy. Like, it regularly oversteps its own bounds. And so I have to be very careful to trim it back regularly, because unlike the sedum, it doesn't try to or the stone crop, it doesn't try to kill other plants, but it does overgrow to the point that it puts itself in danger. Okay, again, we now have roughly a quarter of a cup when we initially had half. So that should give you an idea of how much water these plants will take. And again, this is once a week to once every 2 weeks, depending on your local weather. If you live in a place that's super hot and super dry, you're going to want to water them once a week. But if you live in somewhere, say, the northeast or the northwest of the U.S., or even the south, not the southwest. The southwest, your once a week is pretty much a sure bet. But if you live in the southeast of the U.S., then you definitely want to only water once a week, or once every other week, if it is humid. If it's a particularly dry spell, yeah, you can water them, once a week. That's fine. But you definitely do not want to overwater your succulents, because that's how you end up with root rot and with dead succulents. Okay, so drip, 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 drip. Come on. Okay. Alright, we'll go ahead, put you down. So, now we have, let's see how much water lasted out of that. That one seemed to drain a lot more. Okay, we have almost our half cup. That one drained much better than the pincushion plant. But the pincushion plant tends to like a lot more water than the others. We're just going to pour direct into here. And we're going to wait. This has more... there we go. Now it's starting to drip. It's got more dirt that it's got to get through before it can drain. So the next fun thing is finding enough windowsill space for all of these, because some of them are Christmas gifts and will need a while until they're ready to go to their new home. Others are not Christmas gifts, but they... Okay, this one is not draining very much at all, and it has a nice well underneath that, so I'm not too worried about it. But look at that, that's all the water we have left of what we started with. That's not even a quarter cup. So obviously the plants were thirsty. But again, you have to be very careful not to overwater your succulents. Make certain that they get a good chance to drain. Let's double check. Nope, no water underneath either of those. Good. How about you? A little bit of water under this one. Let's pour that off into here. And set you back down. Check under the other one. Nope, no water there. Okay. Any under you? Nope. Okay. I do... That tiny little Christmas cactus piece, I want to get it in the dirt pretty soon, but I think it can probably wait until I've prepped some more cactus soil, and I don't think I want to do that tonight, because I have other plants that I need to get trimmed. And I have other plants I need. You know what? Let's go ahead. Give me a moment. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the Be Right Back. And I will be back shortly. I'm going to grab a couple more pots I've got that are already prepped and thankfully have their own drainage already built in, so I don't have to drain them. I'll mix up another crud. I just realized that I need this cup for the cactus soil, but it has water in it now. And I need this for the cactus soil, but it has water in it now. Okay. Give me a few. I'll be back. I will mix up more cactus soil, and we'll go ahead and pot the rest of the stone crop and the rest of the pincushion peppers, and I should have enough left over to do the little bitty Christmas cactus in that little pot that I showed you guys. Okay, so one moment. Be right back. Okay, I am back. I bought these pots recently. The plan was to get some of the sedum et al. To be properly established, and then I would repot into these, but obviously my timing was terrible. Hold on, I have to... Yeah, I haven't even taken off the I just bought this sticker yet, which tells you I was not ready to use these. But needs must sometimes. They are very pretty. And these ones thankfully come with their own saucer underneath them, so I don't have to worry quite as much about drainage. So, okay, we're going to... You have your own saucer and your terracotta, so you'll absorb some of this water as it is, which will be good for when I put a little cactus in it. Okay. Here. And go ahead and get the other one unpackaged as well. This one has a very specific... I was going to regrow the Christmas cactus, get it established, and then see about replanting into these. Because, of course, the Christmas cactus, if given the right conditions, will get very big. And so a pot of this size is actually excellent for it. Okay. So things are going to be a bit muddy since I had water in this because I wasn't using my head. I'm brilliant at times, let me tell you. Okay. So, we're going to focus on that little Christmas cactus first. So I'm just going to make up a small thing. And then once I'm done, we'll see how much space I have for the rest. Also, I can see any comments, so if you do have questions, feel free to ask. This isn't like my gaming streams where I never have a clue what you guys are saying because of the way that the games versus the Twitch studio work. At some point, I will get the Twitch studio set up in a way that I can actually see what is being said. But thus far, it has resisted all attempts. So, organic growth medium. Blep, blep. Okay. My lid is all the way down here. Okay. I like using the Tupperware / Rubbermaid because it's much easier to clean than a lot of other options. And anyone who knows me knows that I really don't want to spend more time cleaning than I have to. Therefore, anything that lessens my cleaning is a good thing. Okay, so and because I've put the water from this back in there, I'm going to use the cup that I normally use when repotting things that are not succulents, which I love succulents. You'd think that that would be all I want to grow, but no, apparently there are certain plants that are not succulents that I have just decided I adore, and so despite my better judgment, I keep getting them. Roses again. The begonia, I still have no idea how I ended up with begonia. The African violet is also a surprise, because African violets, you hear again and again how they are very fussy and fiddly, and mine is just like, I love you, you're excellent. So, okay then. We'll give you a little bit of water. Now this one specifically, I want to just leave it with, okay, I do want to poke that root underneath the ground, but I just want to make certain that it only gets a very tiny amount of water, because I do not want this delicate little baby, which that is a tiny baby for a Christmas cactus. But I don't want that tiny little baby to get too much water and end up sick. Okay, we'll go ahead and see how much of the soil we can get in this. Might be able to do it this way. That is not as deep as I would like it to be. So what we're going to do, I'm going to add just a little bit of this one. Not a lot, mind you. Again, we don't want to drown those roots. I knew I had something like this. I'm going to mix it this way. Okay. So normally I would want this a bit deeper, but given how much these have been wanting to lay down, fall down, etc., we're going to just use those higher sides for support. Let go. And this one we're just going to lay down on top of the soil because, again, it is determined to root itself as much as possible. So, let's see, that gives us... No, we're just going to... Some of these are probably going to be either taken to the plant lady I know, or worst case scenario, tossed. I hate doing that to plants, especially ones that are very hard, trying very hard to establish themselves and seem very much to want to live, but sometimes you just have to, because they otherwise will take over and will kill your other plants, which is very annoying. Okay, so this one is gonna need... I might be able to put that one last pincushion and the rest of the set stonecrop in there. We'll see. I'm going to, instead of doing 2, we're going to do 1.5 of the Aquarium Gravel. And you can sit there for right now. One and a half of our sand. I've also got some blood and bone meal, but I've got to mix those two together before I can really do anything with them, because they are going to be for the roses and the violet. And I want to make certain that they are mixed properly so I don't end up with burnt roots on either of those. This is going to be a blast to clean out of the sink drain, I can tell you, with all the sand. Okay. And I'm just going to grab this again. It's the easiest way to mix it, but at this point, I don't want to put the lid on because, one, when I shake it that way, it makes way too much noise. And I'm sure with the fact that everyone already mentions that I'm too quiet, that will make me far too quiet. So we're just going to hand mix it this time. It's okay. It won't hurt anything. Okay. And in we go. And that only filled it halfway. Okay. Let's see. I've got plenty of... We have even gravel already. I don't want any more of that. So let's... Again. And it's okay if the ratios are not perfect. The big thing you want to watch out for is with succulents, at least. So like if I were working with anything else, you wouldn't want to add this much sand or this much of the aquarium gravel. But you want to make certain, absolutely certain, with succulents that they have very well-drained soil. Because heaven forbid they not get well-drained soil. I promise. They do not like that. And you will end up with a bunch of dead succulents on your hands. Heck, even with me working very hard to get this soil where it should be with the right ratios of sand to organic to stone, there's still a chance that these aren't going to root, they're not going to survive. Because, I mean, plants, sometimes they don't. And I mean, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong, okay? Sometimes plants just don't. So, don't feel bad if you try and your plants end up giving up the ghost. It happens. Okay. Alright. Given the stone crop, I'm just going to, again, lay it down around the edges. This one is just going to go right there in the center. And I can almost guarantee I will be giving this stone crop another haircut or two over the coming weeks until whenever this is given as a gift, because I can guarantee it's going to try and overgrow and crowd out the pincushion plant. Which is kind of why I'm like, why am I putting so much stone crop in here? But you know what? It'll be fine. Okay. So, we're going to... Oh, good heavens. That's heavy. They're both heavy. We're setting them on this because I'm going to add just a little bit more water, and I'd rather it drain into the growth medium than anywhere else. Because the growth medium, oh well, if it gets wet, so who cares? But I really don't want to flood my table, you know. Okay. Okay, so... let's show off our little collection. Well, let's see if I can slide everybody up so that we can see everybody at once. Okay, there we go. Well, it is what it is. Maybe we can't see everybody at once. Maybe there's just too many of them. Unsurprising. But, there we go. Multiple repotted plants in multiple containers. Okay. Alright. So, I do want to thank everyone who came by tonight to view the stream. I hope that you enjoyed getting to learn a little more about succulents and their care. I really hope these survive and that they thrive, in fact. I want to show them off to everybody here in the future once they have all established themselves before they go to their new homes. If nothing else, I'll get pictures and I will share those on YouTube, same as I did with the drawing challenge pictures after the ones that were done off stream. But I hope that everyone has a beautiful rest of your week. If you are wanting to get into taking care of plants, I highly encourage it. Don't feel bad if they die sometimes. If you are worried about killing plants to start, try starting with plants that are definitely not endangered. I wouldn't recommend my Venus flytrap for anyone who is worried about killing plants until you have established a routine where you can take care of plants without them suffering for a bit. But I highly encourage people to get into growing plants. There is plenty of good to be had by surrounding yourself by greenery and by things from the natural world. Just again, make certain you get them from reputable growers. If you do decide to get a carnivorous plant, make certain that you get that plant from a grower who ensures that they are not taking them direct from the wild. You can get Venus flytraps that are clones, and they will happily live in a home. They do take some kind of special care, so again, wait until you've established that, yeah, you're okay with, say, succulents, which are some of the easiest to grow, provided you don't overwater them, as I've done before. But I do encourage people to take up plant care. It is good for your heart and soul to be around natural things. If you can't, that's okay. Just, spend some time in nature. It's fine. But follow your passions. Hopefully you can eventually grow things on your own. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you guys Thursday on my gaming stream. But for right now, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time.